Live, local, now. 13 News starts with breaking news.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amanda Barron. At this hour, dozens of people are being treated after a chemical spill at Catalytic Refineries Incorporated near Institute. We're glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. I'm Amanda Barron. The incident happened this morning around 9:30, and in just a little bit, we are expected to hear, in about 15 minutes from now, we're expected to hear from crews at Metro 911 in Kanawha County as they're going to update us on the situation that has been unfolding and created quite a concern all across the Kanawha Valley as shelters in place have been instituted and then removed as we have worked through the situation. Excuse me, and learn more about it. We have team coverage for you this afternoon. Savannah Young will be outside of CAMC Memorial. But first, we want to go live near the scene in Institute with Sarah Davis. Sarah, what can you tell us this hour?
Well, Amanda, when we first came on the air earlier this morning, I told you that when I got on the scene just before 10 a.m., you could still smell the chemical in the air. It smelled a little bit like skunk, but we actually got a little bit closer to the scene. And I'm going to step out of frame so I can show you that the road is actually still completely closed on both sides. They are not letting anyone through at this time because there is still an active shelter in place happening. And just in the last couple of minutes, we have seen people on scene here still actively working to get more information about what's going on here. And earlier this morning when we first got here, we had to backtrack because I got that public safety alert that said we needed to evacuate the area because of the shelter in place. And now that there are new developments, we're able to get a little bit closer to show you just exactly what it looks like here. But for now, reporting live at Institute, Sarah Davis, 13 News.
Sarah, if you can stay there for just 1 second, I want to ask you a couple more questions. Talk about what you're seeing right now, about how far away from the plant are you right now? We'll get to Savannah in just 1 second, but I do want to ask you.
We're just about a mile away, Amanda. We are just outside of that shelter in place order that's within a mile radius of the plant. We are on Route 25 in the Institute area. Okay, so you're not far from the campus of West Virginia State University, which of course has been in that shelter in place all morning. You also, there's a Go-Mart there. That's just one of the places that's around. What happened when you went into that Go-Mart earlier today? Were you able to talk to any employees? Yeah, Amanda, when we tried to go into that Go-Mart this morning when we first came to you on the air, they wouldn't let us in. They had employees inside. They were completely locked down. Nobody was allowed to be in because they were also experiencing a shelter in place from the across the street. West Virginia State University, which you also mentioned, is still under that shelter in place.
Curious right now, Sarah, are you still able to smell anything in the air?
Right now, I'm not able to smell anything. The air has cleared up quite a bit down this area. Mm-hmm. Definitely a lot different than it smelled when I first got here. Okay, so that is something that we are glad to know that smell is dissipating. And we have learned a little bit more from Dr. Tom Takubo, the name of the chemical. Dr. Tom Takubo, of course, is a state senator, but he also is a physician where the emergency response is happening, where some of the people who are being decontaminated at the scene, Sarah, that's not far away from you right now, are going there to Thomas Hospital. He says the name of the chemical is bonderite. He says it's a pulmonary irritant that gets into the lungs and coats the lungs, and it keeps oxygen from getting into the bloodstream. He doesn't know the lasting impacts of exposure right now. He says there are 35 to 45 employees being treated throughout all 3 hospitals in the region. Sarah, we're looking at some of the video, the drone footage that our photojournalist Albert Mosley was able to take this morning. And I want to ask you if you saw any ambulances or any sort of emergency vehicles making their way to the hospital that you could at least surmise were making their way to the hospital during all of this. Okay. Scott, on this evening, we saw a response team come when we earlier.
Okay. All right. Obviously, we're having a little trouble with Sarah's connection right now. We're going to work to reestablish that. But I want to keep this video up, and hopefully we can go to our 13 News reporter, Savannah Young, who joins us from one of the hospitals in Charleston. Savannah, tell everybody where you are this hour and what you've seen.
Yeah, Amanda, I'm at the CAMC Memorial Hospital here in Kanawha City. We've been here for a few hours now, and we've seen dozens of medics who are prepared to take in any incoming patients. If you look behind me, there's a yellow tent, if you can see that over my shoulder, where they've just been sitting there ready to take in patients in protective gear. That's what it looks like. I haven't seen many ambulances coming in and out of here as of now, but I've been talking to those with the hospital, trying to get answers as to how many people are being treated here. We don't know that at this time still, but we are waiting for those answers, and I will have those for you as the day progresses. Yes, we do know this is some sort of lung irritant, so we're waiting for more answers here. As of now, it is kind of quieting down. Earlier they were up walking around the tent a bit more. Now they're kind of just waiting. So this seems like a waiting period. I will keep you updated with any more information as it comes. For now, I'm Savannah Young for 13 News in Kanawha City.
Savannah, I want to talk to you a little bit more about what you're seeing there. Tell me what those employees have on. What are they wearing, and what kinds of response? I'm sure you haven't been able to talk to anyone on the record, but in some anecdotal conversations, what have you been able to learn from those folks?
Right, so they seem, obviously they're very busy, very focused at this moment, but from what I understand, they're wearing some sort of mask over their face. I think this is when dealing with patients maybe who have come into contact with this chemical. It protects them as well. That's what I can gather from these suits. If you can see them, some of them are not wearing these anymore, but earlier I was seeing them strap these over their head, and they were protecting their hands and their legs and their feet, and they're pretty much their entire body. So that's what I saw. I haven't really been able to talk to them about exactly what this gear is at the moment because they're very busy, but I will look for those answers and get that out to the public as to what this actually does to protect them and protect the patients.
All right, Savannah, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Hopefully we can get back to Sarah Young here or Sarah Davis in just a couple of minutes. But in the meantime, I want to just bring you up to speed on what we know, what's been happening.
Live, local, now. 13 News starts with breaking news.
I want to keep you up to speed on what we've been covering since around 9:30 this morning. And just to give you some behind the scenes perspective of what we were hearing in the newsroom, it was a chaotic scene on the scanners this morning as emergency crews rushed to this scene in Institute there along First Avenue. Kanawha County Emergency Services Director C.W. Sigmund, of course, has been very busy all morning. He told us today that the chemical spilled was a nitric acid that was mixed with another chemical. We're working to put the pieces of all of this together, but we can tell you that Dr. Tom Takubo said that the chemical is believed to be bonderite. He says it's a pulmonary irritant that gets into and coats the lungs and keeps oxygen from getting into the bloodstream. So Catalytic Refinery is a company that has roots in New York. It's been around for several decades. One of the more recent filings, when it seems to have reemerged in West Virginia, was in 2018. Is what we are learning, and from time to time, on these reports that we can get from the Secretary of State's office, you'll see that there are about 24 employees from West Virginia, but it says that the company in total has about 430 employees. So what we are hearing today and what we're trying to get a bigger picture on is how many people were actually working there at the plant, and it's not clear if they were all in one specific location and all working for one company, or how all of this plays out. Let's check back in with Sarah Davis, who is not far from Catalytic Refinery. Sarah, we were trying to get a little information from you a couple minutes ago about just painting a picture of the emergency vehicles and the rush to get folks where they needed to go.
Yeah, Amanda, when I first got here on the scene this morning, I saw a bunch of ambulances, a response team, and just people trying to get to and from the plant. And also when we were back at West Virginia State University just across the street, even more ambulances were coming. And as you can see behind me, the road is still blocked off, and there's actually some traffic coming in right now, and they are actually having to detour people to do a U-turn around because they are not letting anybody still at this hour anywhere close to the plant. You can see all the police down there. They've been there since this morning. That's exactly where they were when I first got on the scene. And where we were right over there when we first got here, and we smelled the skunk smell that I described earlier. But right now, I don't really smell that anymore, which is probably a good thing. But it's still an unsafe situation, and still shelter in place at this time.
Shelter in place just about a mile from where you are. Of course, Sarah, what can you tell us? Could you hear anything coming from the plant? Was there any Any sort of sound or just that smell that you noticed?
Yeah, I also heard the emergency sirens go off quite a few times this morning. I haven't heard it for a little bit now, but this morning I heard it quite a few times go off, and you can hear it from miles away.
Okay. All right, Sarah, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We're going to go to Metro 911 here in just a couple of minutes, but in the meantime, I want to give you a little more perspective, and hopefully we can get that drone video up that shows you just a very clear scene and the enormous response that happened around 9:30 this morning in the Institute area. Of course, this is one of those areas that you see just off the interstate, and you know, we don't take our chemical plants for granted by any stretch of the imagination, because we know just how serious these incidents can become, but they are a part of the landscape. They are a part of the horizon here in the Kanawha Valley. Chemical Valley is what it was called for so long as we watch this. So this is what we can tell you as we paint the picture for you of what unfolded this morning. Kanawha County Emergency Services Director C.W. Sigmund said the chemical that was spilled was nitric acid. It was mixed with another chemical. And of course, Dr. Tom Takubo has identified that as Bondurite. He says it's a pulmonary irritant that can coat in the lungs, that can keep oxygen from flowing. We know that there were about 35 to 45 people who were being decontaminated at the scene. Depending on the severity of the situation for each individual, that's what will determine whether or not they will go to the hospital. Let's check in right now with Delaney Wells. She joins us from WVU Thomas in South Charleston. Delaney, that is the main hub. That's where Dr. Takubo works, of course, and you had a chance to talk with him. Tell us a little bit about your conversation. All right, so we're going to keep working to get Delaney here, but that is where we know some people have been taken. Of course, 3 hospitals are set up and ready to go. 2 of CAMC, and then of course the team at Thomas, that's where Delaney is, where they are ready to go and taking in people as it's determined that they are needing any sort of medical care. All right, so let's check in with Delaney now. Delaney, you had a chance to talk with Dr. Takubo. Set the scene for us there at WVU Thomas.
Well, right now I'm across the street from the main emergency area, and there are around 3 to 4 Kanawha County ambulances that I'm looking at. When I first got here, it was a little calmer. It has gotten busier throughout the day. I spoke to Dr. Tom Takubo a few hours ago, and he tells us that the name of this chemical is called Bondurite, and it's a known pulmonary irritant, and it gets in the lungs, coats the lungs, and it keeps oxygen from getting into the bloodstream. Now, he didn't know what the lasting impacts of the exposure were, and as of right now, we're still unsure how many patients are actually being treated at Thomas. We will get that number later, but as I said before, another ambulance just arrived as well, and so now there's about 4 ambulances from where they were taking patients earlier, but that's what we got from Dr. Tom Takubo earlier. We're still just unsure about the lasting impacts it'll have on the lungs and just how how to continue care. But yeah, as of right now, there's not much activity, just a lot of ambulances from earlier. But we'll continue to keep you updated.
All right, Delaney, thank you so much. We want to check in now at Metro 911, and that's where we have Jackson Rosinski standing by as that news conference is about to start. Jackson, a lot of unanswered questions at this hour, and of course it takes time for them to sort out exactly what happened. We know that there were about 35 to 45 people who were going through that decontamination process. Whatever happened, it's hard to put all this in perspective for folks right now, as we're really going to be leaning on them for this information because it's not clear at this point what exactly happened within the confines of that facility.
Yeah, Amanda, that's right. From those at Kanawha County Emergency Management, they confirmed that several people were taken to area hospitals by both KRT buses and ambulances. We can also confirm that the vehicles and patients on scene were also decontaminated before going as well. We also mentioned we talked to Dr. Tom Takubo, who said 35 to 45 employees were taken, and the chemical was Bondurite, and the chemical is a pulmonary irritant, getting into the lungs and coating the lungs, keeping oxygen from getting into the bloodstream as well. It's also important to know, as of right now, the shelter in place is still in effect from Catalyst Refiners to, Institute, that is, to West Virginia State University. The one before that was most recently lifted was from Catalyst Refiners to the St. Albans and Nitro Bridge. But as of right now, we're still waiting on more information to come from this press conference that should be coming up here shortly.
Jackson, have you had a chance to talk with anyone, just kind of anecdotally, and get a mood? I mean, what is the feeling there at Metro 911, because they're the ones that have been fielding these calls since this incident started during the 9 o'clock hour?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's a lot of people here, a lot of first responders coming together and doing a great job of just getting the information out there in a timely manner as well. We've been updating people at home on our website, WOWKTV.com. We've been at the scene, as you guys know. It's just a very, I would say, somber situation, but we're getting information out there as quickly as possible, and we also thank the first responders for getting that information out here as well.
Yeah, we're certainly grateful. Have you had a chance to hear anything since you have been there just about the decontamination process? I don't know if you've been able to have any conversations with anyone.
No, not as of yet. I think everyone is kind of just waiting until this press conference starts here in just a couple of minutes, just to relay that information to everybody back home.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Jackson. We appreciate it. I just want to tell you a little bit about, we've had some comments that have come in today from U.S. Senator Shelley Moore Capito. We've also had some comments. We'll come right back to Jackson as soon as that press conference starts. So Jackson, keep on standby for all of us as we do this, as we wait through this time period to have some information coming straight from the people who were on the scene. All right. They're starting now. Let's dip in and listen to what they have to say at Metro 911.
Today, Kanawha County and our emergency response partners responded to a chemical release at Catalyst Refiners in Institute, West Virginia. Our first priority has been and remains the protection of life, safety, and public health. Catalyst Refiners is owned by Ames Goldsmith Corporation. Ames is putting out a release. We have a copy of that and can provide it after this press conference. This remains an active incident. Information is still being developed, and there will be national, state, and local investigations about this chemical release. We anticipate that OSHA, DEP, and the National Chemical Safety Board will all conduct investigations. For that reason, we're only providing some information that we've been able to confirm. There will be very detailed investigations by these other state and federal agencies as well. Here's what we know. At approximately 9:31 a.m., a ChemFix incident was reported at Catalyst Refiners in Institute. That site was used to manufacture silver catalyst. A shelter in place was put into effect for a 1-mile radius of the site. Preliminary information indicates the site was in the process of shutting down its operations, and cleaning and decontamination activities were underway in preparation for the closure of that site. At this time, it is believed that a chemical reaction occurred during that cleaning process that created hydrogen sulfide. At approximately 9:33 a.m., Metro 911 received a call from Catalyst Refiners reporting the release. Emergency management, hazmat teams, and first responders were immediately notified. At 9:46 a.m., the Emergency Operations Center was activated here at Metro. At approximately 9:53 a.m., first responders were on scene, and that's when the 1-mile shelter in place was announced. At approximately 9:55 a.m., the Western Zone Emergency Siren Network was activated to notify nearby residents and businesses. At 10:07 a.m., a wireless emergency alert was issued for the Jefferson, St. Albans, Nitro Institute, and Dunbar fire response areas. A wireless emergency alert is the emergency message sent directly to cell phones. Some of you may have received that if you were in the affected area at that time. The Kanawha County Alert app activation was also sent, a notification from that app. In addition to the shelter in place and other emergency notifications, additional protective actions were taken. Route 25 in front of the plant was shut down. Route 60, McCorkle Avenue, was shut down initially as a precaution, but later opened. As a precaution, Kanawha County Schools voluntarily initiated a shelter in place at Dunbar Primary, Dunbar Intermediate, St. Albans High School, and Nitro High School, in addition to Nitro Elementary. These schools were not within the official shelter-in-place zone, but the action was taken out of an abundance of caution. At 10:29 a.m., it was confirmed that the shelter-in-place was no longer needed west of the site near St. Albans, so that was lifted. There does remain a shelter-in-place currently between the site of where the incident happened up to and including West Virginia State University. 21 individuals from the site have been transported or have sought medical treatment or evaluation. I am sad to report that 2 individuals have passed away as a result of the incident. 5 of the 21 individuals were Kanawha County Emergency Ambulance employees who were evaluated at hospital for potential exposure as a precaution. We are not going to release the names of the individuals who passed or any of the individuals that have sought treatment. It is our understanding that the company has notified the families of the 2 individuals who passed away and 1 individual who is in critical condition at a local hospital. Hazmat teams are still assessing the scene. Air monitoring is being conducted around the facility. Teams are preparing to make entry into the facility as soon as it is safe to do so. First responders have notified the National Response Center so that appropriate federal agencies can be alerted. At this time, the shelter in place remains. We do not have a time frame on when that shelter in place will be lifted. C.W. Sigmund will chat here in a minute, and he can give you more information about the chemicals, the response, those types of things. This remains, as I mentioned in the beginning, an active and developing situation. It is important that the public rely on information from official government sources and information that the media relays from official government sources. There's a lot of misinformation out there. We want to caution everyone about relying upon that false information. You can monitor, in addition to the news agencies, you can monitor it, the developing situation on our county Facebook page. We will announce there probably when we do lift that shelter in place. It'll be published there first, so people can monitor that. In addition to the Metro 911 Facebook page and our emergency management Facebook pages. That's where the information will go first about the current shelter in place when it is released. We will have additional facts, obviously, as this situation continues to develop, and we will provide that information through official channels. We continue to keep those affected by this in our thoughts and prayers, including the individuals that passed away, and all of those employees and contractors, subcontractors who were at the site today, in addition to our first responders who put their own lives in jeopardy to respond to this scene, including administering life-saving aid to some. I want to turn it over to our Director of Emergency Management, C.W. Sigmund. C.W. was actually on site today. Quite frankly, almost as soon as it happened, he showed up. He can give you more information about what happened inside the plant.
First of all, after this news conference started, we got information there was 7 total EMS workers transported. We found that out after the press conference started. I don't know where to start. It's just they were in decommissioning the facility. What's called M2000A and nitric acid were mixed in a pump area. They're decommissioning the tank. and that's when the explosion occurred and the leak. Other employees drug out the affected workers using respirators. Many of them had respirators. As you know, when I got there, firefighters and EMS personnel were doing CPR on 2 of the patients, trying to revive them. I got to say, first, my sympathies to the families and the workers, heartfelt sympathies. But on the other side of me says I'm very proud of the responders. I get choked up talking about it. As always, they work together. We do it every day, but today they stood up to the plate and did it even better. Nitro and Institute got there just double quick. Nitro Fire and Institute Fire got there double quick. Charleston Fire, South Charleston Fire, St. Albans. Other fire departments showed up to help that were requested. Had the hazmat teams from Charleston and South Charleston Fire. Sheriff's Office, Nitro PD, all were great. Done a good job. DEP was there, as several of us in emergency management, and the fire marshal's office sent help. So very proud of the response, and I'm very proud of the working relationship everybody had. It went seamless as far as their response is concerned. There was no issues, and they tried to do everything the right way. I'll say this about the EMS workers. They put themselves in harm's way trying to save a life. I hate it they got contaminated, but they were trying to save a life. So I applaud them for that effort. So I'll be glad to answer any questions, best of my ability. Well, my understanding, yes, I should say a violent release, a reaction of the chemicals, a violent reaction of the chemicals, and instantaneously overcame them. Well, sir, it's a violent reaction. When the materials got together, they reacted violently and exposed the workers. What were those chemicals again? The chemicals was nitric acid and what's called M2000A.
This is kind of like gas?
Yeah, it's off gases, yes. Yeah, stuff. If it's laying there in a tank, it will be off gassing very rapidly. No, just a tank. It was an open vessel, and it reacted and released almost instantaneously. There's some residual. We could smell it downwind of it a little ways. You could also, air monitoring, they could detect it with air monitors. The shelter in place, the fire chief at Institute called the shelter in place. He called it exactly right. He's put 1 mile radius. Metro blew the sirens from the western part of the county, put in the narrative where the shelter in place. As Commissioner said, once the wind blowing real hard and air monitoring to the west side of the plant, we can lift the shelter in place in the St. Albans area and toward Nitro. They've kept it in place around West Virginia State University and New Golf Fountain Road area because I got right here, Golf Mountain West to,
Closed, but they're releasing the other shelter in place.
Yeah, we thank you, ma'am. Released other shelter in place, just got that one little area still in shelter in place because of the unknowns. You know, the fire department's still assessing how much is in the tank, what's the chances of it having another issue. We don't want to release it and somebody be exposed. So, but the interstate's open, McCorkle Avenue's open on the other side of the river. Just that one small little area is there, and part of the reason is the fire department's out there with their decontamination unit also. But we want to keep it closed. West Virginia State University Police is monitoring the campus. The Altivia plant next door sent a representative over to make sure their employees were safe and to monitor the situation and assist where possible.
That were in the zones that were how do you guys know that area is safe?
Well, for example, St. Albans, even though the wind was blowing from St. Albans to us, the St. Albans Fire Department checked the area for us, as did in the Nitro area. They were able, St. Albans Fire Chief was there assisting, and he had his crews go out and check the area and make sure it was okay. And we didn't do any releasing of the shelter-in-place areas. So the fire chief didn't until he confirmed it was safe to do so.
With regard to the victims, were these individuals that were local full-time employees, or were they contractors from out of state that were in there just doing
do know there are some local people there. I'm not sure where they're all from and who they all work for. I don't know if it was contractors that were affected or full-time plant employees. That I do not know.
And you said it was actually employees that pulled the victims out?
Yeah, people outside were employees who put on respirators and pulled them outside.
So no firefighters went in?
To my knowledge, no. My knowledge is the employees brought them outside.
I just wanted to make clear, folks that were working at that facility.
That's correct.
Nobody else has been injured that was outside the initial.
No, there should be nobody injured outside. Again, we monitor the air around the facility. No detection, no smells. You had to get really close to the facility to smell it. You want to, but there's doors are open, the windows are open. It still could be off gassing. It still could be reacting. Luckily, we had a chemical expert who comes to the Emergency Operations Center, who is the administrator of the Kanawha County Emergency Planning Committee. He came out here. He's been my go-to guy for 40 years when I need help on a chemical incident. What do I do with this? He's the person that tells me, gives me good advice. And we went by his advice a lot. I'm assuming most of them that we were talking about went to the hospital. It's a very small facility, and most of them are working inside either the production area or the warehouse. So I would say pretty much all of them. They're not a very big employer as far as they don't have a large number of employees on duty at a time.
Several of the employees refused treatment.
Yeah.
They didn't want treated. And I think there's a statement also from the company.
That's correct, sir. Yes, sir. Some of them I'm good. I was away from it. I was in my office. I wasn't exposed. I'm not being decontaminated. I'm not going to hospital, and we can't make them go. That's be a question you have to ask them what their standard procedures are. My understanding, talking to the plant manager, it was not uncommon. It was what they do, but there was something going on that was different. But that will be for the investigators to determine. I do not know that.
This is still a chemical reaction that's happening
as we speak. That's what we're trying to find out.
Okay.
We don't want to release the shelter in place and something's still going on and affect somebody. I would rather keep the shelter in place there. The fire chief's idea was if we release the shelter in place and then it starts reacting again, then we have to do it all over again. And we may have to take a chance of getting somebody else exposed. Those citizens have been exposed to my knowledge. If they do have a problem, they need to seek medical help, either get EMS there or go to the hospital and get medical help. But so far, there should not be any exposures. We have not determined of any material off-site of any consequence. But this is an abundance of caution. We don't want you driving by the plant and all of a sudden something happens and you're caught in a cloud of some kind. We don't want that to happen.
And this is how fluid of a situation. CW doesn't even know that they've announced that the shelter in place is lifted for West Virginia State University, but Route 25 is still closed in front of the plant, so emergency vehicles can get by. So that's how fluid it is. You're right.
And that's good news.
Right.
That's good news. And I applaud West Virginia State University and the campus police making sure the students are safe. And the fire chief was very attuned to the State University, but his words are that they're my responsibility. I want to make sure they're taken care of. So I got to applaud that also.
That's right.
And just around the plant, just around that area right where they're working. My understanding. Right. She got newer information than I have.
Every shelter in place is lifted.
Yeah. So Route 25 will still be closed where they're working, but it's good news. It tells me that it's getting better.
Right. This is for one of our viewers at home. Is this impacting water at all? That's what someone's wondering.
No. The water plants that we get water around here and in the St. Albans will not be affected. This stuff is a gas. It did not get into the water. There's no water. Even if it did get into water, there's no water treatment plants till you get to Huntington from that location. So it will not affect drinking water or anything like that.
So the building where it occurred.
It's hard for me to describe how big it is. It's not a huge building, not like the Ordnance Center in South Charleston. We got these huge buildings. It's a warehouse-sized building. not as big as some of the big box stores even. But there's a warehouse attached to the production area, and the offices are in the same building. And it sits right outside of the Altivia plant there. It's on their property. They're tenants, but they're not inside the fence line of the Altivia plant.
Okay, but it was in the warehouse.
In the warehouse area, to my understanding. I've not went inside myself to see that. But my understanding is in the warehouse area.
Again, you said this was the tank, not the plant being decommissioned.
I'm not sure if it's plant or the tank being decommissioned. All I know is they was in the process of decommissioning. I don't know if it's the plant or the tank, but that I don't know.
There may be a number on the company's press release that you can call to find out more information about that.
Honestly, like the commissioner said, our concern is people. The whys and the business model of it, not really our focus. But we know that they were working on a tank to take that tank out, whether the whole plant's going out or not, or just that tank. Our concern is the most two dangerous times of a chemical plant's life is start up and shut down. Well, here we are in shutdown, and that's the most dangerous time of its life. It's like landing a plane. Takeoff and landing is the most dangerous times. Starting out and ending a chemical process are the most dangerous times.
Press release, is that going to be sent online, or is it just?
We have it on paper. We're going to bring it in here in just a second. I think they're printing it right now. We received it right at 2 p.m.
Okay. And then one more question, too, for the cleaning process. Do you know, is that like a daily routine that they do every day, or one thing? Or?
That I don't know. I'll say this, the fire department, like the Institute Fire Department and Nitro Fire Department and Kanawha County Ambulance, had just recently, in the last few months, visited the plant and took a tour of the plant, so made us a little bit more familiar with it and knew where everything was in the plant. And they gave us a guided tour and met with us about emergency response, and having that knowledge of the people, like the plant manager, I know him, and be able to talk to them, and that helped a lot. Yeah, it was back before the extreme cold weather, probably for the first year. I have to look at my calendar and see what it was. Everything gets kind of a blur, as far as timing and stuff.
I just want to clarify, are there any homes in that area where it's still active right
No,
now?
there's no homes close by. Now, there's homes in the west side, but it's several miles away, and it's up. You have to go into the wind. It's upwind to it, so there should not be any homes affected.
How did they know that they were affected?
No, there's no gas. I was right behind them, not too far behind them. There's no cloud there. It was probably on their clothing, and it's off gassing. If you get something like that on you, like chlorine, you're going to smell it on your clothing for a while, but it's eventually going to off gas. And it was probably off gassing off of them. A lot of stuff, they think there's a big cloud, you always see what it is. They probably didn't see that. They just saw folks there in cardiac arrest and needed their assistance. No obvious, again, off gassing. Personally, I've been exposed to it sent to the hospital over working on a patient, off gassing a material.
Is there 21 additional people from the
21 total.
more about the, talked about how
You said one more a while ago.
I know. Keep coming to me. I'm sorry. When you talk about just how important it was to get the shelter in place issue for everyone, these experiences, I mean, how important is that to? I guess what does that do for people when there is all these unknowns?
Yeah, we give alerts for chemical responses that we respond to. As far as day-to-day Department of Environmental Protection protections for as far as normal day-to-day operations, that's not our thing. But releases, accidental releases or whatever, is ours. They're not as common as you think. People think in the valley here we have a lot of incidents. We do not. If it's important to get that message out, we don't want somebody standing out in the yard and get exposed to something that we could have prevented, that we didn't give them a warning about. So again, I thought the warnings went out well. When I pulled into the site, I could hear the sirens blowing, and my phone was alerting to the wireless emergency alert and to our app. Both of them were sounding on my phone. In fact, it took me a couple of moments to clear that where I could talk on the phone. But the sirens were activated before I got on site. Well, I hate to say this, but I've been in the fire department since '72, and actually since '71. It wasn't as common even then as it is now. It was talked about a lot. It was probably a little more common. We had a lot more industry back then, but even then it was not an everyday event. You talk to somebody from Texas, they thought we had a chemical event every day, but we did not. But we did a lot of work over the time frame, and one of my associates for a long time, the director on the state level, Matt Blackwood, we did a lot of work over many, many years over shelter in place and public warning and things of that nature. So again, it worked very well, and the responders did very well. Metro did very well. All the alerts went out pretty quick. Matter of fact, I was in a meeting in his office when, along with the Charleston emergency manager and Putnam's emergency manager, when the alert came in. So they got to see me leave quick.
Speaking of alerts, too, and Commissioner Tennant also mentioned this, we all got a public safety alert. The shelter in place for all areas around the Refiners facility and Institute has been lifted. I would assume that's including also the.
Well, you can't get there now because there's a roadblock. Right. And there's police officers there to keep you out of that area. But as far as you staying in your home and closing your doors and windows, that's been lifted. But there's police officers there with the road closed as a precaution. In fact, they had the roads closed before I got there, and I got there pretty quick. And the sheriff's office and Nitro Police had the road closed pretty quick. That'd be a company answer. I don't know. They would use whatever the standard PPE was for that job, not before this event happened. But if it was standard operations, whatever was required for that operation, I'm sure they were wearing it. But I don't know what they were wearing. I know that plant workers grabbed PPE, like what's called a face respirator, not fresh air like a firefighter wear, but like a filter type respirator of some kind, and went in and grabbed them the best they could. Some of them probably did not use it, but some of them did. But what extent they had them on, I don't know. They were not wearing hazmat suits when we got there. They were in standard workwear.
I think some of them had also been hosed down.
Yes.
So we don't know what they had on at the time of the actual incident.
That's true. And they had a hose line off of Nitro's fire engine hosing people down when I got there. So I'm not sure exactly, but again, no obvious equipment, but like the commissioner said, they were getting hosed off. They might have been taking things off. When we hose somebody and decontaminate them, it's an embarrassing event because you have to take clothes off. You know, we can't hose you down and clean the stuff off because you might have stuff on you still. So some of the folks were probably embarrassed. I carry gowns, so some of them, we put them in gowns after we start cleaning them off because they were cold. It's the Catalytic Refiners. What they do is they get silver out of some of the work at the Tibia site. Some of there's different plants that work in there. They recover silver from that and be able to use again. It's used in that process. They even have to take if they vacuum their carpets in their office, they recover so many thousands of dollars worth of silver out of it just vacuuming their carpet. It's a silver recovery business to make the stuff that goes in to use in a chemical process in another facility there on site.
There is a contact information on the press release from Goldsmith if there are any questions.
Yeah, and that,
I'm going to put that on the table, and then we have some information in the form of have that. I would imagine we'll be putting ours out on social media.
I understand it's been under decommissioning. Like had other alerts been from this plant, or is it the first time?
No, this is not the first time we've been there. We've been there on other alerts. It's not an everyday event, sure, but we have been there. We've been there on spills before. Not as bad as it's not a spill, but we've been on some spills inside the facility where the nitric acid has spilled. Recently? It's been a few years ago, not decades ago, but a few years ago. That's a,
Yeah, 21 total. That would include the 2 individuals who passed away, and the EMS workers who went to the hospital for just a checkup, and then also some of the other coworkers that went to the hospital. One was in critical condition. Some just went for evaluation.
You started the press conference by saying 21 of the EMS workers,
I don't know if it makes it 23 or not.
it's pretty fluid, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, when we put out our information earlier today, there was only 7 that had been transported. Now we know that it's at least 21, but I can't confirm whether it's a total of 23.
I know the ambulance, the paramedic personnel trying to keep up with it, getting decon, getting them in the ambulance, getting them to the hospital. So sometimes those numbers might get skewed a little bit. Their priority is get them in the ambulance and get them out of there, you know, to get them decontaminated, get them to hospital. And because they're going to be decontaminated again when they get to the hospital before they get treatment. Because whatever's causing their issues, we got to get it off of them.
And we don't know whether any went by private car. You know, they could have, co-workers could have driven them. We don't know any of that information.
Thank you. And KRT did, at our request, send a bus down. We had walking wounded who were just going for observation and being decontaminated. So KRT did send a bus down. They're a good, strong partner with us. So they showed up and transported some patients that relieved the ambulance have had to do bus work. Let the bus take care of it. No.
Is it possible that there could be more impacts like that?
Could be. Somebody, you know, this being a plant in a localized area, we have a pretty good handle on it, but there could be others that showed up in their own personal cars. And a lot of events over in town, most people just, Oklahoma City bombing, places like that, most people went by car, even public works, garbage trucks and things for picking people up and taking them to the hospital. We like to send them by ambulance. That way we can send them to the hospital. It's not too busy. You know, the med base will say, well, this general is very busy. Let's send some over here, or this patient needs the care in this facility. But we can't control what goes by car.
Here's the information I mentioned. We'll put this here on the table if anybody wants it. We'll continue to provide information as it becomes available to us, including the number that have been transported, if that changes at all. If we ever get a number on any that were transported by private vehicle, we'll give that information as well. Thank you.
Right, so you have just learned the difficult news that 2 people have died as a result of this incident at the refinery today, and we're working to learn more, and our hope and thoughts and prayers are with that person who is critically injured and those other 21 people who were taken to the hospital to be a part of the decontamination process and to be checked out. And you can only imagine what that was like for the employees who were dragging their own out of that facility, putting on respirators, acting on a moment's notice after that explosion happened. And if you listen back through the timeline that County Commission President Ben Salango gave during this, I mean, he was able to go minute by minute and just explain to everybody that that first call, that chem fix, came in at 9:31 this morning. By 9:33, there was another call into Metro 911, and in the minutes that followed and the hours that have followed, we have learned that there has been a tragedy in the Kanawha Valley today as 2 people have died. Another person is critically wounded after this explosion at Catalytic Refinery. And Jackson Brzezinski is there. We're just waiting to see. He's getting a news. They were able to get that press release from the company, something that we've actually been trying to do. We've reached out to the company several times today, did not get a response, but I do want to read you because Jackson was able to just get this and send this into us. So I am reading this alongside all of you. I think it's going to be easier to see on my phone, so just bear with me here because this is This is a live coverage, so give me just 1 second to pull this up. But it is difficult news today to learn that 2 people have passed away, but great news to hear that the emergency response went quite as smoothly as it did. And not only that, you heard that emergency crews were just in that facility within the last couple of days. So what a blessing that they had that information and they had just such a quick reference in their mind as they dealt with this. All right, so this is from Ames Goldsmith. We can tell you that the corporation president, Frank Barber, has released this. They say Ames Goldsmith Corporation is deeply saddened by the deaths of 2 of our colleagues as a result of an industrial accident at our Catalytic Refiners plant in Nitro, West Virginia this morning. A 3rd colleague is being treated at an area hospital. This is an unfathomably difficult time. Our thoughts and prayers are with our colleagues and their families. Ames Goldsmith is working closely with local, state, and federal agencies to determine the cause of the incident, which appears to have resulted in the creation of chemical fumes within a building at the facility. The fumes were contained within that one building. Other Catalyst Refiner employees are being evaluated at area hospitals as a precautionary measure. We're grateful for the immediate and highly professional response of the local emergency responders and the healthcare providers at area hospitals. They are a credit to Kanawha County. That coming from the Ames Goldsmith Corporation president, Frank Barber, just within the last hour. Deeply affected by all of this is the campus of West Virginia State University, which is right next to all of this. You know, you might imagine that these chemical facilities can provide great learning opportunities for students, but it also sets the stage for incidents that are unfortunate and can be really intense and a lot to deal with when you have a college campus full of students who are there trying to learn. I believe we have West Virginia State University President Eric Cage joining us now via Zoom. President Cage, thank you so much for being with us today. We're glad that you are okay. Tell us about the response on campus and how everybody is feeling right now, because you guys are so closely confined to this terrible tragedy that happened this morning.
Well, first of all, I want to say my hearts and prayers go out to the victims of this horrible tragedy. We pray for all of those individuals, their families, and then all the colleagues. It's been a tough day for all of us here in West Virginia. Here on our campus, we have been doing everything possible to keep our community safe. Immediately after we received the word of this incident this morning, we immediately triggered our shelter-in-place protocols, and all of our community until a few minutes ago have been sheltering in place around campus, and we've been communicating regularly with the community, giving them information as it became available to us.
Is this something that you talk about with students as they come onto campus? You know, you have a lot of kids who are out of state, of course, people who have lived in Kanawha County and the surrounding areas. We're very aware of the chemical facilities that surround us. But is this something that you have to have a conversation with students about when they come onto campus? Like this is a serious situation?
It is a serious situation, and it is not something that we routinely talk to students about as they are coming to our university. It is a reality. Again, the chemical industry are our neighbors here in Institute. We do take steps proactively to make sure that we have protocols in place, a protocol that we executed, I think, very well today by triggering a shelter in place, making sure that our community were in safe locations, and then just constantly communicating to let folks know what we knew when it became available to us.
How stressful is it as a university president and a university proper to deal with all the misinformation that's out there? You know, kids are kids, and adults even participate in this, but you're dealing with young adults here. How do you explain to them and stress the seriousness of the situation? Because there was a minute there where we really did not know what was going on, or if this impact could grow.
Well, you know, I really want to applaud our community because I actually did, you know, earlier in the day, we were all sheltered in place here in our administration building. But after about, you know, an hour, I made the decision as the leader of the institution that I needed to go visit all of our shelter-in-place sites across campus. And without fail, every site that I went to, I saw students, faculty, and staff who were in those locations, who were following the protocol, who were in good spirits. Of course, they were concerned. They wanted to know what was going on. But I really do feel like we did a really good job here at West Virginia State. And I think that's attributed to our planning, but also to our community who really took this seriously.
How much of a learning experience is this for all of you at State, and what are you guys going to do going forward to kind of reassess, even though today was a successful day? How do you reassess tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, every incident like this is a teachable moment and this learning experience. So really starting tomorrow, our leadership team will gather together along with our chief of police, and we'll sit down and we'll do an after action review and look at where we excelled at and look at the areas that we need to grow in. So, I mean, I think it's been a really stressful day, but again, luckily we have been able to keep all of our campus community members here safe on campus, but certainly we pray for the lives lost and for the families affected. Yeah, no doubt about it. It's just such a tragedy to know that 2 people have passed away. 1 person is critically wounded in all of this, and we know that some of our first responders, 7 of them, are being treated from Kanawha County, being checked out. We don't know to what extent they might have some issues as a result of this. And then those folks, the other dozen people who were there, and things changed in just a matter of seconds and minutes, because we know that chemicals they're volatile, and that's the only way to put it. They're volatile, and things can change, and life is fragile. And we're seeing that right now. President Cage, before I let you go, is there anything else that you want to say, or there's any other message that you might want to get out there? No, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to all of the West Virginia State community for really coming together to get through this moment of tragedy. But I also want to thank all the members of our community, whether it be our emergency response, our state leaders, for really reaching out to make sure that we were okay here at West Virginia State University. It really does speak to the spirit of collegiality and the spirit of community that exists here in West Virginia. I'm so glad that you just said that. That just prompted another question in my mind, if you don't mind. So you did hear from county, state, and state leaders as well? Yes, I know. I did receive a personal call from Dr. Sarah Tucker, who is the chancellor of West Virginia Higher Education Policy Commission, and her first words were, "Are you okay?" And she also wanted to know if she needed to reach out to the governor's office on our behalf to provide some additional assistance. And we also heard from Reed Amos, who is the commissioner of the Mountain East Conference. So folks have been reaching out from far and wide to make sure that we were okay here at West Virginia State. It's so nice to hear that, and so nice when we have these blessings in the midst of tragedy. That's got to be comforting, not only to you as president of the university, but also to the parents of all of those young adults who are on campus there. Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. President Cage, thank you so much for connecting with us here. We appreciate your time. We're glad that you and all of the Yellow Jackets community are safe this afternoon. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. And thank you at home for sticking with us here on the WOWK Plus app. An important situation to cover today. Just to recap for you, 2 people have died. Another has been critically wounded, and about 24 others are being treated right now at local hospitals. That's the count from Kanawha County right now. More people could have gone to the hospital just as a result of being concerned about that chemical explosion that happened today. Ames Goldsmith says that their Catalytic Refineries plant in Nitro, they were working to do some decommissioning of the day. And as they were doing that, there was a creation of chemical fumes within one of the buildings, and that's when things changed in a split second. And you heard the Kanawha County Emergency Management Director, C.W. Sigmund, say the most dangerous times of the day at chemical plants are when they're starting things up and when they're closing things down. And we saw that today. And we are grateful for those colleagues who jumped into action today to help pull their fellow co-workers out of harm's way, and no doubt this is a very, very difficult day for them and so many others. Our thoughts and prayers are with them. Our coverage will continue on our regular broadcast tonight. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. We'll see you later today.